Hello, everyone. It's Charlton. So, Israel launched some airstrikes against Syria or in Syria on the capital Monday today. I don't know the exact times. And this is there's a series of events that have taken place over the last couple of days. It started with an Israeli strike somewhere within Syria. I'm not sure, and that was repelled. I'm fairly certain almost all Israeli strikes are from the air. They're not surface to surface. So, but I think they were shot down, and that was pretty much the end of it. Then the following day, I believe Sunday, there was a strike into Syria, surface to surface, actually, at this little ski resort in the Golan Heights, which everybody understands that this is a contested territory, that basically Israel occupied this. I think it was the 1967 war that they took from Syria, and they've kept it ever since, you know. And that's where I think this ski resort is. And it was a surface-to-surface missiles. I'll play that in a second. It shows it in the sky, you know. And they were shot down by Israel's Iron Dome. And according to reports, they were Iranian surface-to-surface missiles that were shot. There's various pockets of Iranian military in Syria. I don't know this whole story that well. So, but today, in response to that, there was a number of airstrikes. I think it did a fair amount of damage. There were some deaths, and to various installations in and around the capital of Syria, Damascus. So let me just show you quickly. This is from yesterday. You know, this is from the Iranian forces in Syria into the Golan Heights, the ski resort here. Oops.
לא מאמין לך שצילמתי את זה!
And those two lines of smoke could very well be the Israeli Iron Dome system going up in the air to get the missiles. I'm not real sure. So, but today, Monday, there were a number of Israeli airstrikes, like I said, on Damascus. And the Israeli army, or the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, has basically admitted to it, which they almost never ever do. And they're always very ambiguous in terms of just flat out saying that they did it. But this time they did. The Israeli military said its jets struck a series of Iranian military targets in Syria early Monday, an announcement that was a rare departure from Israel's year-long policy of ambiguity regarding activities in the neighboring war-torn Syria. The military said the targets included munition storage facilities, an intelligence site, and a military training camp. The strikes were in response to a surface-to-surface rocket that Iranian forces fired towards Israel on Sunday that was intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system over a ski resort in the Golan Heights. That followed a rare Israeli daylight air raid near the Damascus International Airport. The Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said Monday's pre-dawn strikes lasted for nearly an hour and were the most intense Israeli attacks since May. It said 11 were killed in the strike. The Russian military said 4 Syrian troops were among those killed in the airstrikes that targeted 3 different locations and damaged unspecified infrastructure at Damascus Airport. There were no further details on the casualties or their nationalities. Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Kornikas, an Israeli military spokesman, said the Iranian missile attack that prompted the strong Israeli response was premeditated. Iranian forces in Syria fired the mid-range surface-to-surface missile towards Israel from the Damascus area. A missile, he said, had been smuggled into Syria specifically for that purpose. Kornikas declined to further identify the type of missile, but said it hadn't been used in any of the internal fighting of the civil war and had no business being in Syria. Here's some of the, I believe this is footage from various clips of the Israeli airstrike earlier today, you know, the pre-dawn raid airstrikes on Damascus. I'm just going to play a portion of it. So, you know, this is obviously a little bit more of an escalation. We haven't seen anything like this for a little while. And the fact that Trump had signaled he was ready to withdraw from Syria, even though he's sort of, I don't know if I would characterize it as backpedaling off of that, but he's basically, instead of saying he said he would do it, it would be a slow, deliberate process and it would take some time to do that. We don't have a huge presence there anyways. It's only like, you know, it's only like 2,000 or something like that, but it's still significant. And obviously various people have various opinions on it, you know, and I do too. You know, I typically, I've become, you know, I think the Iraq War was a huge mistake. And I've come to believe that big time. So, and I do think that just the defense industry, it was all about the defense industry making tons of money. So, but having said that, I don't know. I mean, you know, I don't know. The fact that Russia's in Syria is the problem, you know, and by us leaving and just letting them dominate the region is not good, you know. So that conflicts with what I just said. But those are the two opposing sort of views in my own head. And that's the story there. That is the story there, man. I don't know if there's much more to it than that. I'll quickly go through the CNN article to see if I missed anything and then wrap this up. So, Israel carried out a series of airstrikes Monday against Iranian targets in Syria, the Israeli military said, in response to an Iranian missile that fired at the Golan Heights, capping off a volatile 24 hours between the two regional enemies. The Israeli Defense Force struck Iranian targets in and around Damascus, including the city's international airport, IDF spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Kornikas said. The overnight strikes targeted munition depots, intelligence sites, a training camp, and more. The IDF also struck Iranian warehouses at the Damascus International Airport, Kornikas said, noting that Israel observed secondary explosions indicating that weapons had been hit. Okay. Israel also attacked Syria anti-aircraft batteries when those batteries fired dozens of missiles at Israeli aircraft carrying out the strikes. The wide-ranging strikes were in response to a medium-range surface-to-surface missiles fired towards the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights on Sunday afternoon. The missile was made by Iran and launched by Iranian forces, Kornikas said, adding that it's the first time a missile with such a payload had been fired by Iranian forces at Israel. The missile was fired from an area near Damascus, Kornikas said, which is approximately 50 kilometers from the Golan Heights. Russia had assured Israel that no Iranian forces would be this close to Israel, according to Kornikas. Russian state media said RIA Novosti reported four Syrian soldiers were killed and another 6 wounded in the Israeli strikes. The London-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said 11 were killed in the strike. But Iran's state-run Fars news agency denied that any casualties had taken place and reported that Syrian air defenses managed to intercept 7 Israeli missiles fired into Syrian territory. This is that same skiing clip again. That's the one I showed you, actually, originally. All right, that is the story there, man. That is the story there. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below. I will see you in the next video. Later, man.